Davina Lucy Pascal McCall is one of the nation's most familiar and most loved personalities on television. She shot to fame as the face of Big Brother when she became the show's presenter on its inaugural show in 2000, staying on as its presenter for the next 10 years. Davina has graced our screens on countless TV shows, including Long Lost Family, £1 Million Drop, The Jump, The Masked Singer, and The Masked Dancer. She has released around 14 fitness DVDs, has written several cookery books, and most recently co-wrote an incredibly honest and eye-opening book about the menopause with Dr Naomi Potter, following on from Davina's hugely successful Channel 4 documentaries on the menopause. She is also a mum of 3 gorgeous children. Davina is perhaps best known and loved for her trademark humour and warmth. For many of us, for well over 20 years, Davina has made us feel like she's our best friend, who is open and honest and who really cares. She is an inspiration and a trailblazer who has overcome her own personal challenges in life and shared her journey in the hope she'll help others. I am thrilled to be in conversation with Davina McCall for Rockwater. Hi, Davina.
Hi.
Hello. It's really, really lovely to see you. And thanks so much for giving me the time to talk to you for In Conversation with at Rockwater.
It's a real pleasure. I just want to also say thank you very much for my gifts.
You're very welcome.
Oh my God.
What's your favourite? Well, I'm not going to ask you.
You know what my favourite is.
It's granola.
I'm trying very hard not to munch my way through it on. I know how annoying it is when somebody eats and they're on mic.
I'm not annoyed by it.
Crunching.
What, the people listening?
Oh, it's...
We're going to be a lot more annoying than that.
Yeah.
So listen, I'm going to go further back than I had planned to when I came to you, because I've met you a few times, haven't I? And I knew you as the beautiful you, mum of 3 gorgeous children, TV presenter, and always very friendly and welcoming when you meet me. But in doing my research for today, I found out more and more about you. And then I thought, no, we have to cover this, because to get to know you, it's helpful, for other people, right? But also to get to know the whole you. I love also, what I really love about you is your honesty and your openness to being vulnerable and being bloody honest about stuff, because that, when you are, known, it can only help others and it can make others feel not alone. So you are brave in my eyes, and I thank you for that.
Or stupid. Depends how you look at it.
Yeah, but I'm not. No. I think you're brave and inspiring and not at all stupid. So I had no idea about your childhood growing up, and I was like, oh wow. So if you don't mind, I'm going to cover this a little bit, because we've got a lot to go through, because I'm going to end up on the menopause.
Yes, great.
Which we've got a lot to talk about, let's be honest.
Yeah.
So as a little girl, you barely saw your mum, and she dropped you off your granny Pippies. How old were you when she dropped you off?
So I did actually live with my mum and dad until I was nearly 4, I would say, because it was a memory. And I think those early memories, I couldn't tell you a day-to-day memory that I had, but this was a big event. My mum leaving me on my own for the first time to go on holiday. I was a bit confused, because she was going on holiday with a man that was not my dad. But I, when you're really young, you don't really kind of question it. You just think, well, mum's going on a skiing holiday with that man. And basically she told me she was coming back in a couple of weeks. So I was like, okay. And then my granny, bless her cotton socks, who unbeknownst to me had been awarded custody of me and my dad as well. So he'd come down at the weekends, but I lived with my granny. And that had all been organised. But back in those days, people did not know how to talk about difficult stuff. No. And maybe that is why I am such a sharer, is because I know that it did damage me to not talk about stuff, that it affected my behaviour going forward. And I had kind of some odd behaviours and anxieties and stuff. I mean, interestingly, I didn't talk about my worries or anything to anybody. And I did grow out of them. So sometimes I wonder whether I'm overly zealous in
sometimes I think that about myself too.
Labeling people,
Yeah, they hit you before, they didn't, and now we really, really do.
Yeah,
and maybe
it's almost like we need to get to a balance where we just let people run their course. But I think if something mega happens, my granny was in the war. She was a Wren in the war. Yeah. She dealt with rations. She had an exceptionally hard life. Every single person in this country had PTSD in the late 40s. Like everybody was just trying to survive. And so she was like, let's just not talk about it.
Yeah, let's make a sponge cake.
Let's make a sponge cake, like you were there.
I was stirring the bowl.
Because that's what my granny did. And she was brilliant at that. She made home. She was extremely homely, all home cooking. She was very cuddly. She was very funny. She sang a lot. She was the perfect, substitute mum. Yeah. But she wasn't my mum.
She wasn't.
And my mum didn't come back. But what happened there, and it was really interesting, and I did some amazing hypnosis on it about 6 years ago, was that my mum didn't come back. I then realised I wasn't allowed to talk about it.
Yeah.
Because if I asked if my mum was coming back, my granny would look really upset. And I didn't want to upset my granny. All so messed up. Yeah. And then normal. And then we just stopped talking about it. But then I had a weird feeling, which was guilt. Yeah. And I just felt really guilty because I thought, my poor granny, I am completely overstaying my welcome. I was only supposed to be here for 2 weeks. Yeah. And I'm still here. I feel terrible about that. And I thought, that's so interesting. You're
kind of looking after. Well, as children you do, don't you? You kind of feel responsible.
I thought her looking sad, are you sad because I'm still here?
No.
Do you know what I mean?
No, absolutely.
So in the end, I'm going to put my iPad in the other room and shut the door because I don't know how to turn off the pit.
Through it.
Okay.
With abandonment.
So it was a confusing time. I went to this hypnotist. I've got to tell you this because you're going to love this. So Mrs. Therapy here, self-help maniac. I went weirdly. I was doing a TV show. In fact, I think it was like 10 years ago now. I was doing a TV show and I was going to go in a submarine to 1,000 meters under the sea. I don't get claustrophobic, but 1,000 meters under the sea would push anyone. 40 minutes down, 40 minutes back up again. You can't stand in the sub. There's no loo. You can't move around, just in it. So exciting. But I was like, oh my God, I'm going to go to see a hypnotist just to make sure that I'm not going to have a panic attack. Yeah. And try and get out or something stupid like that. They have had people try and do that before.
No, I would try.
So I go to the hypnotist. He's talking to me. He said, I've identified, he's an amazing kind of therapist as well as hypnotist. He said, I've identified 2 areas, trust and abandonment. So he'd gone over a little bit about my upbringing and where I'd come from, blah, blah, blah. And he said, these are the 2 areas I think we need to work on. Put me under. And he said, do you want me to take away your fear of, your lack of trust? And I said, yes. And then he said, do you want me to take away your fear of abandonment? And I said, I don't know what you mean. And in my head, I'm going, yes, you do. Yeah. You know exactly why can't you just say? And then he said, oh, well, what I mean is like I could help take away this fear of it. And I said, no. Wow. So I came to and I was like, why did I know? In my head, I was screaming, yes. Why did I say no? He said, I don't know. Let's unpick it. And it turns out I was a bit scared that it was going to change me forever.
Yes.
If I'm not that, who am I?
Yeah.
Because I've just grown up.
You've held that.
And all the drug taking, which I'm will discuss at some point,
but
everything stemmed from that. Stemmed from me not feeling full because I'd been abandoned, and there was like a hole that was like a sieve, and every time I filled it with something, it would just keep sieving through, so the hole would appear again almost immediately. And then I went away, and he said, "Come back in a couple of weeks, have a think about how you feel and like what you want to do, and then if you'd like me to help you get rid of it, then." I'll help you. Went back the next week. I said, yes, please. He put me under. I said, what happens if I can't do long lost family and I can't empathise with people if I've lost my fear of abandonment? He said, you will be exactly the same person. Yeah. Every experience that you've been through in your life has made you who you are. Yeah. It can't, but you will lose this thing that is crippling you. I was like, oh, okay, let's do that.
Yeah, I want his number.
I'd like to do that. So he puts me under and we go back to little me. And he says, when did you first feel abandoned? And it wasn't when my mum left me because I didn't think I was being abandoned at that point. No. It was about 2 months after, and I'm doing some drawing on the kitchen table and my granny is cooking, probably a sponge. I am looking at her. He said, tell me what you see. And I said, I'm looking at Pippi, but I feel bad. I feel really guilty and I feel like I shouldn't be there. But I want to know when my mum's coming back and no one's telling me. And he said, okay, go get her. So I tiptoed in. my granny weirdly doesn't see me.
Yeah.
I take her by the hand. I said, come with me. He said, take her to your favourite place in the garden. So I took her to the oak tree and he said, okay, sit down together. So we both sat down and he said, comfort her, you know, sort of talk to her. And I said, hey, are you okay? And I said to him, I feel a bit weird. And he said, imagine she was your child. It's not you. Imagine this is your child. And I was like, oh, okay, I can do that. And put my arm around her and she put her head in my armpit. And I was talking about the garden and stuff. I want you to tell her that everything's going to be okay. And I was like, I can't. And he said, why can't you? And I was crying, I was sobbing in the chair. And I was like, I've done so many terrible things and I've just, I can't. It's awful. And he went, but look at you now. And literally I just stopped and I went, oh my God, look at me now. It is okay. It is all going to be okay. And I thought, God, I've been kind of holding on to this. I don't know. It just felt like a complete release. And I thought, I'm doing okay. And I can tell her that you're going to have an amazing life and it's all going to be great.
Absolutely.
Like in the end.
Yeah, in the end.
And so I told her and I said, do you know what? You're going to have like a crazy adventure and life's going to be great. So just don't hold on to this. You're going to be fine. And then I took her back and I sat her down. And he said, before you go, just take one more look at her. And I looked over and she looked at me and she gave me a smile. She was sad when I went and met her. Yeah. She gave me a smile and I went, bye. She went, bye. And then I walked out and he woke me up. And I said, that was weird. That was amazing. Like, it's all going to be okay. And he said, might take a few days, might take a few weeks. I don't know, like if...
Yes, for it to settle and to come.
Anyway, things started happening immediately where I was like, oh, do I started being able to ask for something that I needed without...
Rather than keeping stum and not wanting to wobble anybody out.
Actually, I really need your help. I just could never do that. I never, ever asked for help.
And now if you looked at it all, like you're explaining it to me, you can absolutely see it. And you can see why you did it. Yeah. And you can see why your granny didn't talk about it because she didn't know what to say.
Makes complete sense.
But actually what it's doing inside and how it's making you feel that you need to behave as a child.
And how it was still affecting me in my 50s, or actually I was in my mid 40s when I got it sorted. But how it has massively changed how I look after myself. Yeah. That I'm worth something. It's
Which
amazing.
We're going to go to as well.
It's been amazing.
Because it's all, that is amazing, isn't it? Glad you met him. Because you used to go, didn't you, to visit your mum in the holidays?
Yes.
And it's, as you said, the house was lively and fun and your Granny Pippi was very lovely and your dad would come at weekends.
But my granny was like a nun, just to say. She was a party. They were all bon vivants. Love life, love partying, love music, love dancing. But every Sunday church, I was in the church choir. Very simple life. I wore all my granddad's hand-me-down clothes and I had one pair of jeans. We weren't, it wasn't excessive or anything. It was a very loving, stable family.
Straight, safe.
And then Paris was absolutely mad. And
you saw your sister, your elder sister Caroline was there because she was living similarly to you, but in Paris with the grandparents.
With her grandparents. Different dad. So my mum had her when she was 15, 16. Yes. Got pregnant at 15.
And Flo was... it was just chaos.
It was chaos. And the thing with my mum, like when she died, it did like allow me to remember a lot more good stuff. When she was alive, I was just so angry all the time. But I think when she died, I was like, okay, well, she was hilarious and she couldn't help it. She couldn't help it.
It's an illness.
Totally. And she was... Also, interestingly, she had a hysterectomy at 27.
Wow.
And you wonder
menopause.
How much of all of the madness was hormones, the rage, the drinking, the drugs,
Yeah. As you say, addicts it's a disease and it's not their fault. But man, do they let people down along the way if they don't look at it. And it's dealing with that, isn't it, as a child. And then as an adult, we learn more. And when we become parents ourselves, and we're just more wiser to the fact. And then, but man, it must have been, it's like you were playing two parts.
Yeah.
So you'd try and fit in at Pippi's.
People.
Yeah.
Like I'm still half wild child.
Yes.
And I'm still half nun. Like I'm such a weird, mix of the two. Like it wouldn't take much to make me be naughty. I'm not talking drink or anything. I'm just talking
dance down the...
Yes, or do something really embarrassing, or I am very easily swayed.
I can quite...
I
was on the train listening to a great song, Coming to You, and the beat. And I just wanted to get up and dance. And I thought, I wonder what people on the train would do if I got up and just started to move. Yeah, they would think it was for TikTok, wouldn't they?
She's filming it.
So what age was it going to secondary school? You moved from Pippi's to your dad's in London, was it Notting Hill Gate?
No, Shepherd's Bush.
Shepherd's Bush.
Yeah, not as posh.
No, I wasn't sure. I thought, no, Shepherd's Bush, no, not as posh as Notting Hill Gate. Certainly not back then.
It's quite Des Res now, Shepherd's Bush.
It really is. It's everything's kind of.
It's funny.
It's amazing.
It's really funny coming back.
Yeah, isn't it? You go, wow, this isn't nuts. Like Brixton.
Yeah, it's really crazy. And Peckham.
Oh, Peckham.
I loved Peckham back in the day.
In Peckham when I was 17.
Wow.
Yeah. Now it's like totally gentrified, isn't it? It's posh. So at secondary school So I did a year in the country with my granny. The thing with my granny, bless her, was she didn't want me to leave.
Oh yeah, that she did.
So she really, really tried to get me to stay with her.
Yeah.
But I really, really wanted to be with my dad. And my dad had married this amazing woman when I was 6 or 7, Gabby.
Yeah.
And they had this lovely kind of vibe going on. She's like the best interiors person ever. She just does up her house so nicely, and they had all these young fun friends and everything. It seemed all very I want a piece of that.
Yeah,
I want a piece of that.
Young girl.
So I moved to London at 13.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, hello. I could get anywhere I wanted to go. I could.
Out goes the nun.
I was
Davina,
free.
Income.
I was free. But it's funny because that nun is always there.
Of course it is, on your shoulder.
And slightly, I think the reason why I'm still alive, or the reason why I went to meetings, is thanks to Pippi and that nun.
Yeah, your anchor.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. So it's been very helpful.
One big balance. I might get it tattooed across my forehead.
But don't do that.
No, I won't. I'm over exaggerating.
Do your butt or something.
I'll do my butt.
Yeah.
With all the patches.
Yeah. Around the patches.
Around the patches. Well, so I am going to go to when, like so many people when you were young, you started dabbling in drugs, and then it got a bit out of hand, and you felt it got out of hand. And what was the moment when you thought, I'm not in control of this now, it's in control of me?
I remember vividly being in a nightclub, and I used to promote clubs, and I did Quiet Storm, and I remember being at Quiet Storm, and it was about 10 o'clock or 9:30, just before sort of everybody started coming, and I had this cough, and I was like and I hadn't been able to get any heroin like that day, so the last time I'd had it was the day before, and I was like that like the whole time, and then it really started getting bad, and I felt really ill, and I was coughing up bile like it was kind of lime green, and I felt so bad. And I suddenly thought, oh my God, I think I'm clucking. Like, I think I'm actually withdrawing. And I had I'm so nervous ever of glorifying or, saying taking heroin is okay. It absolutely isn't. I tell you what, I would say heroin, crystal meth, and crack cocaine are the three drugs that if you ever met anybody that said they'd just tried them, I would say, well, you're in for a rocky ride, because they are going to be a total mess. They are the three drugs that I would say you try once and you are gone. Because heroin isn't a drug that you try once and then you think...
Put it down.
But then, because I didn't take it for ages. I tried it, then I took it again when I was a year later, when I was 16. Then I used to just do it in Paris and not do it in the UK. Then I found someone at 19 that was dealing it in the UK so I could get it here. So it was very slow, but it was always in my mind.
Yeah.
I was always trying to, do you ever do? I was always kind of planting seeds to see if anybody had a connection. I was just waiting for it to happen. But that's the thing about heroin. Like it once it beds into you, it is like coming home. Mm-hmm. And when you're on it, nothing else matters. So you don't care about, thank God I didn't have children, or indeed a husband or a boyfriend or anyone. No, I'm joking.
No.
But you don't care about meeting someone on time. You don't care about missing somebody at a restaurant. You wouldn't care about picking up your kids from school. You wouldn't care about, all you care about is your heroin. It comes first, and it is your best friend. It's like the biggest, warmest, softest cuddle.
And so that moment for me happened really late on in my using, like I was 23 or something. But I had had a heroin problem for 2 or 3 years. Like every weekend I was on heroin all weekend, and I was just about making it through the week. And then I'd and my weekends sort of went from Saturday, Sunday to Friday, Saturday, Sunday to Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, always try and get it together for Monday morning. But I knew that things were going bad, and I left everything. Like I left my boyfriend because it was his fault I was taking heroin, but he stopped taking heroin and I took more.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
I left my job because I didn't like my job, and it was that was making me take the heroin.
Yes.
I took more, you know.
Yes.
And then suddenly everything was falling apart and I was taking more and more, and then I got a habit. Then I got clean because my best friend locked me in her car and said, I know, everybody knows, we're all talking about you. You're falling asleep at dinner parties. Like, I don't really want to hang out with you anymore. You're a mess. Sort your shit out.
Good girl.
And I was like,
because it's brave, isn't it? It's brave.
Yeah,
I bet
so
you did.
brave.
But it is brave. But
still my best friend, by the way.
I'm so glad. Yeah. She's a good best friend. Because I remember, you know, you've got to, somebody once said, I care more about your life than your feelings. You know, and you've...
To you.
Somebody said it to somebody that was in need. And I thought, I'm going to keep that. But actually, you know, we know we've both had friends that have had problems, and you can't mess around. You know, I remember going, I'm not your friend because I've been going along with you because I've wanted to please you. You know, well, pardon the language, fuck pleasing you now because it ain't winning. And you know, so, but it does take a brave, and I do think that's a true friend, actually, as she was. So. No,
she was amazing. And the next day, I went to her office with a bunch of flowers and said, I'm an idiot. I'm going to a meeting. I don't expect you to believe anything that I say, but I'm going to show you. And I did.
You did?
Yeah. And I went every day.
If you subscribe to a fabric of life coloured by the sea, subscribe to Open Water from Rockwater. For exclusive performances by international recording artists and world-class musicians, celebrity talks, and stand-up comedy. To film screenings by firesides, well-being workouts and beach-bound meditation. Open Water gives you exclusive access to the best that Rockwater has to offer. Played out over 3 floors, just a stone's throw from the water, with remarkable food and drink experiences for company. To find out more, contact the team today. openwater@rockwater.uk. Open Water, made by the sea. So my little NA
at the beginning.
And was that every day?
Every day.
Yeah.
I mean, 90 days. They say go to an NA meeting every day for 90 days. And sometimes I would go to 2 a day. I had no job. I had no flat. I was sleeping on a camp bed in my dad's sort of cupboard. I mean, it was a posh cupboard.
Yes.
But it was a cupboard. Nonetheless, camp bed. I had a car, but not enough money to put petrol in the car. I just had nothing. And I remember after my first NA meeting, somebody invited me for coffee. And I thought, are you asking me? Like, I was kind of looking behind me going, why do you want to go out for coffee with me? They said, oh, you know, like you're a newcomer and you can get to know a few people. I was like, are you kidding me? Everybody hates me. Like,
you
I just
didn't
was
even
like,
like yourself.
The biggest thing of all, getting clean and sober, the overriding feeling that I had was that I just hated myself. I hated who I'd become. I hated the fact that heroin had stopped me caring about the most basic of things, that I'd let everybody down. I'd let my job, I'd let my best friend down, I'd let my parents down, my sister, awful. And this is why I understand why people end up thinking about taking their own lives, because I just thought the world is better off without me. I mean, I never contemplated killing myself because I did know that there was recovery. I had friends in recovery and I knew that that was an option. And thank God, you know, before, because it didn't really get a chance to bed in before I became like a terrible, terrible heroin addict and did myself some damage. I got clean and sober.
And you, was there any other support, or was it predominantly NA? Do you know what I mean? I've
done therapy all through my life. I've done some therapy with counsellors who are kind of, lots of them were recovering addicts who've done counselling courses. I really like getting the extra help, sometimes over issues. Yeah. So I'd have an issue with something and I wouldn't know how to deal with it, and I'd go and talk to someone. And now I have somebody that I still have somebody.
I think it's
twice a year.
Talking.
Twice a year, if I have something that I've got a block with and I don't know how to deal with it, I will call her, and she knows me like.
Yeah, she knows. I hold a club. I was actually there at 10 this morning, so I started a meeting thing called So Talk, because I remember chumming a friend of mine to AA, and I remember thinking, why haven't they just got this for life? You know, why can't you walk in and go, I'm not coping, or I'm lonely? So I've started up one called So Talk, and I was there this morning about it, because life sometimes, for anybody.
Oh my God.
Anybody. I mean, that's what is amazing when I do, like I researched you know, you just look and people just don't know, you know, you just see this person, but you have no idea the struggles or the battles.
But I was saying, because somebody asked me this morning about gratitude, and I said, I don't think I'd be as grateful as I am if I hadn't had a tough time. Like if I'd had a really easy life, I wouldn't be grateful. I'd be pissed off.
Or empathetic.
If anything happened to me. So because loads of stuff's happened to me and it's not anymore.
Yes.
I'm so happy.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm literally so grateful. Every day is a good day, even the bad days.
Yeah, and even the little things.
It's better than it was when I was using, you know.
Yeah. And what bit of advice do you think, what would you give to, you know, if somebody's got one of that awful voice that is a negative voice telling someone that they're not good enough, or, you know.
My sponsor back when I first got clean gave me a mirror. I talked about this in my book, and not in that book, another book. And she gave me a mirror and she said, every day I want you to pick up the mirror first thing in the morning and say, I love you. Yeah. Anyway, obviously I didn't do it for 2 months. Called her, said, I haven't done it once. And she went, okay, well, how about you say I like you? And I was like, okay, another 2 months, couldn't do it. She went, Davina, you got it. And I said, I'm really struggling. So then I went to go and pick it up, burst into tears. I was like, what is wrong with you? You've just got to say, I like you, even if you don't believe it. For the love of God, just pick up the bloody mirror. And so I pick up the mirror. Finally, I look at myself, cry, say, I like you, put it down, say, stupid thing. It's a stupid
idea.
Like,
stupid idea.
Hippie, dippy thing. You know, but it took me a year. It took me a year. And I got to look in the mirror and then at the end of it say, I love you. Do you know why I could do that? It was because I had told her all the terrible things I'd done to other people, all the people I'd let down. I'd written it all out. I'd written all about my resentments. I'd written about my part in all my resentments and even when I thought, well, it's somebody else's fault, they go, yeah, but what did you do to contribute to it? Or how did you deal with it after? What's your part in it? So I looked at everything. What it was that doing all of this stuff made me realize that I don't have to be perfect to love myself.
Who is?
Yeah, but I was setting myself such high bars.
Yeah.
You know, I'd look at other people and I'd compare myself, and I've done bad things.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I will do bad things again.
Yeah.
But I'm a good person.
I'm so that.
Do you know what I mean?
I totally know what you mean.
Yeah.
The bar was set very high, and it's like a lot of people around, you know, addiction or, you know, falling off the curb a bit, they feel shame, and that's shit.
So shit.
It's so shit. Feeling shame, you know, and as you say, without going through things that aren't so easy or they're painful, you know, it's made you who you are. It's made you do the charity work you do. But I do want to say, because I've, you know, through close relationships I've had with family members and friends, I know and I understand, I really, really do, the continued bravery and hard work it is to remain on top of it, to remain clean and to, you know, and to remain stopped.
You know what's interesting though? I think like my attraction to alcohol, which I would say is probably the hardest one because it's everywhere. I mean, today.
Yeah, that is true, isn't it?
You know, but
we can only do things by today.
It is amazing because maybe for the first 10 years I was like, oh, you know, rosé in the summer, red wine in the winter, mulled wine at Christmas, but nothing.
You kind of get over it.
Nothing.
That's wonderful. It's just a relief.
And even if somebody waved a magic wand and said, oh, you can drink and nothing would happen, I don't want to. I really like being sober.
Yeah, you can have fun too, can't you? Actually, I can last a lot longer when I don't. You know what I mean?
I can party more. I'm not tired.
Or embarrassing.
Or embarrassing. Well, I can still be embarrassing sober.
This is true. Me too.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your honesty. Seriously. Because it's amazing to be vulnerable and honest. I love it, especially when, you're a known personality, because you help so many people, because there are people out there that feel alone and feel that they're letting people down or they're not perfect. And it's huge to me. So thank you. And now moving on to your 3 beautiful children.
Yeah.
So you've Holly, Tilly and Chester, all born in September.
Yeah.
Now, I know this is true, but I'm saying it because I laughed out loud when I heard that it was true. It's bloody awesome that they were all born in September to accommodate the filming of Big Brother.
Yeah. See those T-shirts?
Yes.
Those were my mother, Big Mother T-shirts.
Oh my God.
Do you love them?
I love them.
So good. So the middle one is Holly.
Yes.
The one on the right, obviously, is Tilly.
Yes.
And then this one is Chester, the trilogy.
I just think it's wonderful.
Yeah.
But it just shows 2 things to me. How much you love the show.
Oh my God, obsessed. Yeah.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
And then also, it's not difficult, but it has to be a thought thing for a woman with a career having children.
Yes.
Come on.
I mean, I don't think I'd ever seen a woman apart from Nana Cherry pregnant on camera. Like Nana Cherry was amazing. Do you remember Man-Child when she did that?
She's an amazing woman, isn't she?
She was like, she was fantastic. So, but yeah, I mean, I practically had my babies on Big Brother. It was always like 2 weeks. Then I had 2 weeks to go before the birth.
I mean.
Yeah. Tilly came about 4 days after we'd finished filming. Yeah.
I mean, that's insane.
It was mad.
Isn't it?
It was great though. It's really good fun.
And I suppose what I look at, and like having gone through the menopause and things and gone through grief and gone through childbirth, I'm really impressed because although I'm pretty consistent as a person, that has to be really consistent. I mean, you have to show up, don't you? Do you know what I mean? You can't go, I'm feeling a little bit hormonal or...
But I mean, this is so naff to say, but Dr. Showbiz is amazing.
No, it is actually. You've gone with a broken leg, wouldn't you?
On death's door and presented a show and felt amazing in the show and absolutely brought it and been so eloquent. And then I come off stage, I can't speak, I'm crawling on all floors, I'm absolutely fucked.
I get it. No, you're absolutely right. I was I've done like back in the day pantomimes, and it was really funny, leading lady, and my dad played my mother in Mother Goose.
Oh, that's so
And I was
funny.
pregnant and I told no one until the show had started and I was past the frightening stage. But I'd come over the bridge thinking, can't you feel a brand new day? But before I hit the stage, I thought I was going to vomit. But it's true, isn't it?
And then suddenly, ping.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically you've worked for 20 years plus and had 3 beautiful children. Have you ever found the balance, like the balancing act? And do you ever, because somebody actually asked me to ask you because she's got a young family and she's a businesswoman. And it's that thing when you have, guilt. And she was like, can you ask Davina? Because she struggles with it. And I'm like, no, it's normal. When you give birth and you're earning a living.
I remember I used to say to people, I'm sorry about the noises outside, but because I am a menopausal woman, I had to open the door. And we've now got a door open, but we've also got sort of sounds of London outside. So I'm sorry about that. But yes, I mean, mummy guilt is a thing, right? And people often used to say to me, I'd say, I would love to stop working and just look after my kids until they got to school. Yeah. Like, I would have loved to just got them to school and then gone back to work, but I couldn't. And they'd all go, you don't really know. You love your job. I was going, nope. I would really like to do that. Yeah. I remember Holly coming out and me thinking, oh, I have just been robbed of all my ambition. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to go anywhere. I don't want to see anyone. I want to stay inside and sniff your head and I want to cuddle you. Mm-hmm. And so it was, it was a relief because I wasn't sure after the mother that I'd had that I would be that kind of person. Yeah. And I really did with all of my kids. But I had to go to work. Yeah. And I'm hoping that your friend can find some balance if it's her own business in her hours or some work from home stuff or something like that, which can alleviate her. I said I would only work a 4-day week. And one of those days wouldn't be filming in the studio. So it'd be 3 nights and days and then 1 kind of day, but of press and stuff that I could do and then be home in time for dinner.
Yeah.
And then 3 days off. Yeah. And I just want to say something to her that might make her feel better is that if she's having children in today's day and age, all of her children will have to work.
Yeah.
So they will just look at her and just go, oh, well done, mummy, that's great, you're going to work.
Absolutely.
Because all of us have to work. They'll all have to work. My kids have grown up knowing that they'll have to work. So seeing you work is just a great example. If you weren't working, I'd say it was tough because your kids will see you not working and have to go to work themselves and think, why am I having to do this when you...
Yes. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
So in a funny kind of way, you're doing them a little bit of a favour.
Yeah, showing them what life is going to be like.
Although I am big upping the stay-at-home mums, because if I could have done that, I would have.
Yeah, so would have I. But it is a balance. And dads.
Stay-at-home dads as well, they're amazing.
They are amazing. I think I remember it being worse when they're little.
Oh, awful when they were little. I mean, the minute they went to school, that was a bit better because then they had friends and they had play dates and they were busy or they could do something. And
you're new to it, aren't you? And you don't know it and you're trying to, you know, it's like no one gives us a manual, do they? We're balancing it. So the next 2 words I'm going to say to you, I've got nothing to say about it, but I listened to your Desert Island Disc, Kate Bush. Oh my God. If I could, I'd put Running Up That Hill and we'd dance together. I've joined her fan.
Did you see Stranger Things, that bit in Stranger Things with the girl trying to run to her friends?
Yes.
Through the hell.
It became number 1, wasn't it?
Oh my God, it was so amazing. And my kids were walking around the house singing it. I was going, what are you doing? Why are you singing that song? And they went, it's on Stranger Things. I was like, what? And then Holly said, watch this. We put it on the television, the clip of the moment that the girl hears the song. And it's the song saves her from this awful, evil being. And she escapes his clutches and then runs towards this ever disappearing hole to her friends. And the look of sheer terror on her face. I hadn't any concept of Stranger Things. I've watched the whole thing since then. Yeah. But I was just watching it blind. I had no idea what was going on, but I was sobbing.
Yeah. That woman.
It was so good. But how great for Kate. You know, my makeup artist and Michael have been her makeup and hair.
Yeah. When I heard that, joking, I'm such a fan. And then I heard you say, oh yeah, I saw her in concert. And I was like, I missed that. So I'm so upset because I adore her. So I've now, since listening to your Desert Island Discs, I'm on her, her database because I'm not going to miss another one.
No.
So
I don't
please,
know if she'll ever do
no,
it.
don't. I know.
I don't know if she will.
But I just had to say Kate Bush to you because I love her too.
I mean, she is unbelievable.
And her dancing and
she's amazing.
That's what I nearly did on the train this morning. Anyway, so as I mentioned in my introduction, you are one of the most loved TV personalities and hugely successful career spanning over 20 years. You look too young, may I say, for that. You're looking good, Davina. And from the outside looking in, you are clearly driven when it comes to life and work. I'm curious to know where you think that comes from.
I mean, I think it might have come from like using and sort of thinking I wasn't going to ever get anywhere. But my dad, I think it came from my dad, was always like, go for it. He was always just go for it. And I'd say, Dad, I want to be a singer. Go for it. Do it. And he'd come to the gigs and he'd tell me, or I'd go, Dad, I want to be a presenter. Go for it. And he'd help me record the, audition tapes around the house or whatever. I mean, he was and he always let me hope or dream. He never went, oh, don't be daft. Like everybody wants to be an actor.
That is what we need in life. Anybody parenting, listening, actually you need someone to go, because isn't it, if anyone just puts a little neg in of somebody that you care about what their opinion is, a little, well, is that or get a proper job or something. Don't say that. You need to go for it, don't you? Because then you believe in yourself and there's nothing, because even a little thing will niggle and we need your dad, go for it.
And he was the absolute very, very best life enthusiast. He was amazing.
Which is brilliant. I love that. I try and be that. Go for it. So 2014, you did a 500-mile triathlon. Oh my God, from Edinburgh to London in 7 days. Incredible. I mean, incredible.
I don't know how I did that.
No, I don't know how you did. I remember watching it thinking you're going past your limits. And I was worried, actually.
And I was perimenopausal.
And you're perimenopausal.
And I didn't know it.
And you didn't know it.
I was sweating so badly every night. And I got my period on day 1. It was all being thrown at me. Biblical weather. I'm really sorry, TMI, but I got a blister on my labia from my tampon string on day 1 that was so big. And then it popped on the bicycle the next day. And I was like, and I couldn't feel my vagina for the next week because it was like anesthetized, the whole thing. So I couldn't sit on the... Have you seen those road bike saddles? Yeah. They're brutal. Anyway, so I was...
I just want to say, my God... I kind of could bow to you. I am in awe.
sometimes people used to say to me afterwards, what's your next challenge?
Yeah.
And I just want to go, are you
Fuck
serious?
off,
Are you actually,
Pardon my
are you
language.
really asking
Yeah.
me that question?
No, you've done all the
I've
challenges
done it.
you ever need to go.
Ever.
No, ever. So now we're going
Yes.
to go without further ado to the menopause.
Yeah.
We're there for you, ladies, aren't we?
Yes.
It is hard.
Yeah.
For
But the
some,
interesting,
for some people.
yeah, well, the statistics
Yeah.
are 25% breeze through,
Yeah.
50% have quite debilitating symptoms,
Yeah.
but there's loads of,
Yeah.
25% are really in trouble and
Yeah.
they need help and support.
Yeah.
It is not something that is a breeze. I think people kind of look at women that are going through it and think, oh, you know, you're making a big thing.
No,
For
I
many of us,
actually
it
lost
is
a friend who didn't make it. Yeah, that's why
I'm
I started
so
doing my work
sorry.
about.
Fuck, it's terrible.
Yeah, it is terrible. And
That
it wasn't until I got the menopause, and I don't know about you, but it hit me like a truck when I was 50, that I could feel the wobbliness and the tearfulness and the slight anxiety. So I could cope with it, but wasn't coping. So I am on bioidentical HRT. But what it made me do is understand why she'd gone further.
Can I just point out to anybody that's listening, when you say
Bioidentical, it's the same as body identical.
Yes.
It's the same thing.
body identical HRT, by the way, is exactly what all GPs prescribe. Like
Yes.
any transdermal, anything that goes on your skin, so patch, gel or spray, they are all body identical, as is the pill form of the progesterone called Utrogestan. That's also body identical. So, you know, it is like, don't worry about it being something different. It's not synthetic, not like it used to be.
it's not. And
horses.
actually,
it's vegan. It's like...
they didn't get it right then. Now it helps
And now they've got it right.
osteoporosis, it helps heart disease if you're not coping.
helps your mind.
Yeah, and also just, you know, before I close speaking to you, which I've absolutely adored, and I could speak to you for much longer, is that I want people, you know, it takes 9 generations to outweigh a negative, and the menopause has been negative for a while. You're not old, you haven't had it, far from it. You're fabulous just the way you are.
Well, also very important to say that, you know, my granny used to call it the change and the Chinese call it the second spring. And the second spring is such a good word for it because your kids are growing up, they're a bit older. You are realizing that you are nearly at the top of the totem pole of importance in your own mind. You're like, well, what do I want to do?
Yeah.
I know millions, I'm such an exaggerator.
Fine.
I know quite
millions.
a lot of women who are starting businesses in their 50s.
Yeah.
You know, kitchen sort of businesses where they start with a couple of friends. People who are suddenly like, I've always wanted to do this, and they go off and do it. There is a confidence that comes with knowing your body and knowing your mind, knowing you're not perfect, and knowing who you are, your likes and your dislikes. That is really nice. And if you can get your hormones in check, and you can do that with HRT, if you can't take HRT, there are lots of other solutions, which I have written about in
and
the
to
book.
watch your Channel 4
Documentaries.
It's fantastic.
And both of them are on All 4.
Yeah, I watch them on All 4.
Yeah.
And it's like, there is help out there. If you're not hearing what you want to hear from your doctor, ring up and ask to see another one, you know. But so I know that you've got to get ready, you know, you're a busy lady.
Well, guess what, people? I'm on the One Show tonight.
I know you've got to get done.
Guess who with?
Who with?
Steve Coogan.
Oh my goodness.
Stop it.
me.
And Stanley Tucci. Is that not the perfect
No,
sofa?
it is the perfect sofa.
Right?
Stanley Tucci. I
he's
mean,
such a
Steve,
nice person.
I love Steve
Oh, well,
Coogan.
I was
but
just going to
Stanley
say, what's
Tucci-
wrong with Steve
no,
Coogan?
nothing. And
Oh,
I don't
okay,
mean to
okay.
be rude to Steve. But Stanley
Backpedal.
Tucci is, well, such
He's
an amazing
amazing.
chef.
He's
And
amazing.
I love food.
And have you got his new book?
Yes.
Okay,
and
yeah.
I bought one for my son's Christmas present, but don't tell him. But anyway, so I'm going to close it here. And I'm going to say thank you, Davina. Thank you for your honesty. Thank you for opening up about the ups and the downs of life. For In Conversation with Rockwater, you're an utter star. I'm inspired. I think you're awesome.
Thank you.
I love chatting with Davina, and I can't thank her enough for taking time out to chat about the ups and downs of life and sharing with us in such great detail. She truly is an inspiration. Don't forget to let us know what you thought by rating and reviewing, and make sure you keep an eye out for future episodes of In Conversation with for Rockwater, hosted by me, Sophie Corbett.